Donald Trump is far and away the most corrupt president in American history. He is a criminal. He's a convicted felon. He is an insurrectionist. He tried to overthrow the republic and incited a violent insurrection in support of a coup to overthrow the republic and to put himself in power illegally. This man is not even qualified to be president. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment expressly prohibits it. Yet here we are. But I, for one, am not about to accept that and accept that there's nothing we can do about it. This man, more than any other president in history, deserves to be impeached and removed from office and then prosecuted for his many crimes. And it's not impossible. Now, articles of impeachment have already been filed, and I want to talk about that. Now, I do not expect those articles of impeachment to go anywhere. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the details, because if and when we get to a real impeachment, one that actually is going to happen, the articles of impeachment will look much different. Maybe some of these will be included, but there will be more. And those will be debated. But this is a good place to start. And the very fact that we're only 100 days in and there's already articles of impeachment being filed against this criminal is a very encouraging sign. So I want to talk about that. And then I have some comments for people who tell me all the time that this is just a pipe dream. It's impossible. Trump will never be impeached and removed from office. So stay tuned for those comments. But let's begin with the articles that have been filed. This article is from The Hill. Michigan Democrat. By the way, any articles linked will be, any articles I mention will be linked in the show notes below. I haven't been doing a really good job of doing that lately, but I will make an effort to be better about that. Michigan Democrat files articles of impeachment against Trump. Michigan Democrat Representative, and apologies if I mess up his name, Shri Thanedar. I never heard of this guy until now. Announced Monday, and I've never heard his name pronounced. So Shri Thanedar announced Monday he had filed articles of impeachment against President Trump. Quote, "I have introduced articles of impeachment against President Trump," Thanedar said in an announcement online. Quote, "When Trump ignores the Constitution, Congress, and the courts, he is not fighting for America. He is tearing it down and endangering our democracy." Thanedar said he was introducing 7 articles of impeachment against Trump for various actions, including the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man mistakenly sent to El Salvador. Let me stop there. We can't say he was mistakenly sent to El Salvador, right? We know that that's not true. And even if it was true in the beginning, when they initially did it, maybe then it was a mistake. But the fact that they refused to bring him back, that's not a mistake. Okay, so let's stop with the mistakenly garbage. Anyways, and the Department of Government Efficiency cutting funds without congressional approval. I'm not going to read this whole article, just a few selected passages. Quote, "Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the one final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump." Thanedar said among Trump's impeachable actions were his steep tariff agenda impacting global markets, his treatment of reporters. Black fly season up here. Maybe this was a mistake. Anyway, his treatment of reporters and the First Amendment, his bribery and corruption in the justice system, and his obtaining of Americans' personal data. Quote, "Article 7, tyrannical overreach," Thanedar said. "Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency." In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct. If we let this stand, We are saying the president is above the law, that the United States Constitution is optional. I won't be silent, and I'm calling on my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, and independents to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached. Now let's talk to the politics of this. Obviously, this isn't going to go anywhere right now. Both houses are controlled by Republicans, and I am not one who is pushing for an impeachment vote that we can't win. That would be a big mistake. That would probably only serve to strengthen Donald Trump. So it would fail, and it would distract from all the horrible things that are going on right now. We need to focus on those things. We should be talking about impeachment. We should be laying the groundwork for impeachment. We should have it out there that what this man is doing is impeachable, and he should be impeached and removed from office. But we're not there yet, convincing the American people. But talking about it is laying the groundwork for when maybe we have the numbers to be able to impeach him. We've already done some of the groundwork in preparing the American people for this guy's impeachment and removal. But until we're at a place where we can actually be successful in not only impeaching this guy, man, these flies are killing me, not only impeaching this guy, but removing him from office, because impeachment without removal, obviously, is worthless. In fact, it's probably worse than worthless. So until we actually have the numbers, I'm not advocating just symbolic impeachment votes that we lose and then it harms our cause. Now, to those of you, but before I get to those of you who are very pessimistic about any efforts to impeach and remove him, this all changes the worse things get here. I've talked about his horrible poll numbers. One poll has him down to 39% in the first 100 days. This man should still be in his honeymoon period. That's why the first 100 days is so important, because this is when a new president is riding high. He's got all the most public support he will ever have, more than likely, in his first 100 days. This is when presidents are able to get their agendas through Congress to the greatest degree possible. After that, their power wanes, especially in a second term. The closer we get to midterms, the less and less Congress is going to want to do anything. So that's why the first 100 days is important. And he's done nothing. He's done virtually nothing through Congress. Everything's been by executive order. Anyway, we've been talking about his horrible poll numbers, and those are only going to get worse. And if we can get both houses of Congress in the midterms, as I believe we will, and if we get big enough margins in both chambers, we can impeach and remove this man from office. So let's not give up on that in advance. Now, to those people who think all of this is a waste of time and it'll never happen, you know who does think it might happen? You know who's actually worried about impeachment already? Donald Trump and his entire team. Here's an article from MSN. Trump's team wargaming for an impeachment fight. So they already knew going into this term that impeachment may very well be on the horizon for him. And I'm not going to read this article, but it talks about preparing for when Democrats take back Congress, which they're expecting, by the way, and you'd have to be a fool not to. And this is where I want to direct my comments to those of you who say it's absolutely impossible, because we'll never have the numbers to do it. Because every time I bring this up, they say, oh, well, you're an idiot. I always get that. You're an idiot. That's never going to happen. Republicans control both houses of Congress. Yeah, today they do. Today. There's an election next year. And for those of you who say, well, those are going to be rigged, there's no chance we're going to have free and fair elections. Okay, well then why is the Trump team worried about losing the midterms and then Trump getting impeached? If they have nothing to worry about because they're going to rig the election anyway, then why the hell would they be already concerned about impeachment? Why would they even be talking about the possibility of losing the midterm elections if they've got the whole thing rigged anyway? You know, guys, this defeatism, This surrendering in advance, this giving up without a fight, if enough of us say we can never impeach him, then guess what? We never will impeach him. We won't even try. And if enough people say, oh, well, the elections are going to be rigged anyway, Republicans are going to win no matter what we do, then then why even vote? If enough people believe that, then they won't even bother to vote. And guess what? All of this doom and gloom and the pessimism and the defeatism and the surrendering, it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You say it enough, it's going to happen. It's going to convince people not to even bother voting. And then Trump wins. Trump needs people taking this approach. Trump needs, all dictators need people to give up and think everything is hopeless. There's nothing we can do to stand against this. He needs that. And it's really pathetic here in the United States to see so many people with that attitude. The man barely won. He won 49% of the popular vote, one of the smallest popular vote victories in American history. He's historically unpopular. 100 days in, 39% approval. One poll I just read this morning, 6% of the respondents who voted for Trump, 6% of those who voted for Trump already say, they told pollsters that they regret their vote, that they wish they didn't vote for Donald Trump. How many are there who voted for Trump, regret their vote, but didn't tell pollsters that? So if 6% of Trump voters were willing to tell a pollster that they already regret their vote, that number could be higher. But 6%? If 6% of the people who voted for Donald Trump had woken the hell up before the election, Donald Trump wouldn't be president today. So, yeah, it's too late to save us from this, but it's better they wake up now than never. And guess what? All of the things that are causing people like that to regret their vote for Donald Trump. And remember, more registered voters didn't bother to vote at all than voted in the last election. Those people matter too. We talk about, the number of people who voted for Donald Trump, as if those are the only people that matter. No, the people who didn't bother voting at all also matter. And by definition, they're not part of his cult, or else they would have voted for him. So there is a lot of people out there that we can wake up and who are waking up. And you know who's waking them up? Donald Trump himself, with his gross incompetence. He is destroying everything. And the most important thing, because most people in this country only care about themselves and how things affect them personally, the most important thing is that he's screwing up the economy. Now they're predicting it's almost certain that we're going to head into a recession. And guess what that's called? Trump's recession. That's how we need to talk about it. It's coming, and that's how we talk about it. Trump's recession, Trump's recession, Trump's recession. He's only at 39% approval now. He's only going lower. This is going to be a high watermark for him, 39%. So don't tell me it's not possible. And if you really think it's not possible, and you want to surrender, you want to give up, you know what? Keep that to yourself. Stop bringing other people down. Stop convincing the other people who want to put up a fight that it's pointless to even try. You're part of the problem. If that's your attitude, thank God. I mean, we never would have we wouldn't have made it this far as a republic if people with that attitude had been the majority in this country. We've faced harder things before, and we've come through them. With enough people having had that attitude, we never would have gotten through some of those things. So if you are like me and you want to see this man impeached and removed from office and maybe one day actually be put on trial for his crimes, then ignore those people. We can do this. Is it a guarantee that we'll be successful? No. But it will be a guarantee that we will fail if we don't even try, if we listen to the people who tell us that it's impossible. Every day since his inauguration, I have been more and more convinced that we can do this because the man is a friggin' disaster. Remember, you think he's so damn invincible? He lost the election in 2020. You know, it's been pretty easy for him over the last 4 years. He didn't have to govern. The American people got to forget because they have the attention span of, you know, one of these flies getting me in the head every 2 seconds. They were able to forget what a disaster he was. And since we have such a pathetic media and horrible messaging from the Democrat side, hey, that's part of the reason we're here. Shit messaging. The only messaging that was constant and stayed on message for 4 years was the Trump propaganda media. Every single freaking day, they would say how horrible the economy is, how horrible Joe Biden is, and on and on, and on, every single day, with very little pushback, very little counter narrative. And so they were able to forget what a disaster Donald Trump was. And because there have been real problems in the economy, they were given someone to blame, and that was Joe Biden. And so Donald Trump was able to get back in. But he's a disaster. And people are now beginning to realize and remember what a friggin' disaster he is and was, and why they voted against him in 2020. So let's keep up the pressure. Let's not give up. We can impeach and remove this man, and that should be our goal. The guy's a criminal, and he deserves justice to be visited upon him like the criminal that he is. All right, I got to get the hell out of these bugs. Thanks for watching. By the way, before I go, I may do a live stream today. So it'll probably be 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern time, if time permits. So if you're interested in that, keep a lookout and check back with the channel later and see if there's a pending live stream. So anyways, thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon. Jesus.